Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, iTunes, Audible, and more. Because I'm here to splatter more hope and happiness on you every morning at 8 a.m. here on the station that leaves no listener behind and is also the #1 talk station in the Inland Empire. And I am happy to tell you that I have, since I've been on the air in the morning in this 8 a.m. slot, I am the #1 talk show at 8 a.m. And for that, I am so grateful. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thanks to all the guys at the station, Mike, Dad, Fred, Mark, Rick, Eric, you all know, Joe, you know who you are. And I just love y'all to death for helping me splatter more hope and happiness, because I am on a happy 88 mission. That's 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. Why? Because y'all participate in this thing called life, and the happier you are, then the more positive energy is out there, the more smiles. Laughter's my favorite sound in the world. So it is all about me, and I want you to be happy. Plus, you'll just feel better. And when you feel better, you're more inspired, you're more creative, you're more innovative, and you can take advantage of possibilities. And if you haven't watched my short film, my first try at a short film, it's called The New PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities. And it is free on YouTube. So just put Dr. Marissa and PPP. And while you're there, free subscribe, because you'll get an alert for every new show that drops at 8 a.m. on weekdays just for you. And today is actually a new month. It is October the 1st, and you know I love to see what the day is. It's a special day because it is National Homemade Cookies Day. So if you're looking for an excuse to have a nice, yummy, what's your favorite cookie? Mine is, I would say it's a cross between oatmeal raisin and chocolate chip. And it's also National Body Language Day. Did you know that in communication, that 40% of meaning in communication is tone, pitch, and volume in your voice? 53% is in body language, what your face is saying, what your arms are doing, what your expression is. Isn't that amazing? And yet, what do we talk about when we say, do you understand me? What do we focus on the most is content, right? Make sure you mean what you say and say what you mean, and what words are you using, and the richness of vocabulary and how you're putting it together. But it's only 7% of communication. Can you tell I was a professor? I actually taught at UCLA in the Anderson School, and one of the courses I taught was managerial interpersonal communication. And so that was from one of my classes. So National Body Language Day. See if you can go a whole day without talking and just using your body language to talk, because I bet you have some things to say. All right, what other day is it today? It's World Smile Day, first Friday in October. Love it, love it, love it. If you're happy, let your face know. If you resemble that remark, I want you to go in the mirror right now and practice smiling, because it is so important, especially now that the masks are coming off, sort of, not all the way. Still, if you're going into a crowded place, wear a mask. It will protect you, and it will protect me when you wear your mask. It's just a little bit longer. I know you're tired of it. I know it's a drag. I know you hate people telling you what to do. We've gone this far, folks. Just a little bit longer to be safe. Okay, please. All right. What other day is it today? It is International Day of Older Persons. So if you know an older person, my Chinese mom's actually going to turn 86 or 87. We just had a conversation on the phone. We're not quite sure why, because the Chinese calendar actually says that you count the time in utero. So you're actually a year, I guess that would be older. And it's actually National China Day. So happy China Day. And I'll take this moment, those of you who have tuned in for the first time maybe think I'm Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese. And I want to put the moose on the table about being Chinese, because a lot of people have difficulties, especially with this, the Asian hate that's going around. They'll point to, oh, well, China's stealing this or doing that. And China's not perfect, but it is my heritage. And not all countries are 100% great. So yes, there are some things you don't like, but that doesn't give you the right to hate people who are Chinese. Please. Okay? Okay. That was my public service announcement for hashtag Stop AAPI Hate. And that's it for the specialness of the day. I wanted to play for you a little clip of an on-location interview I did with this really cool group that helps with people who are less fortunate. So take a listen and enjoy.
This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. It doesn't look like me right now, but I'm on the other side of the table. I wanted to stop and see what was going on, because the words, I like the words. It says a new way of life, re-entry project. So I came over. If you could tell me your name and what you're doing here.
Well, hello. So my name is Shalora Gonzalez. I come from the organization A New Way of Life Re-Entry Project. And this is my coworker, Miss
Kim McGill. Hey, everybody.
All right. So A New Way of Life is a nonprofit organization that provides transitional housing for formerly incarcerated women and their children. We also provide expungements to the general public and reduce felonies to misdemeanors under Prop 47 and Prop 64. We have other entities like All of Us or None, which she'll tell you more about.
All of Us or None is a national movement led by formerly incarcerated people and our families to reclaim our human rights, to employment, to housing. They're fighting all over the country for both local, state, and federal laws. We also have a clinic around family reunification. One of the rights that people lose is when they go even into jail for a few days, they can lose their children to the system and then have a really hard time getting them back. Sometimes children are fast-tracked adopted and families lose them forever. So we're trying to change those laws also at the state and federal and local level, and have a clinic to help people reclaim their children if they're in child protective custody now. We also have a Testify program where people can tell their own stories about how the system's impacted them. And we have a film festival this week coming up on Thursday that features films about incarceration as well as reentry, and talks about that from the perspective of families that have been most impacted. And we hope everybody comes out today. We have some really cute Post-its available. They look like little avocado toast Post-its.
That's the other thing that caught my eye.
Yeah. So please come out. It's a beautiful day. There's great food, great music here. Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you for what you do here.
And I absolutely love that idea of A New Way of Life Re-Entry Project. And they are having a film festival this weekend. So September 30th, which was yesterday, to October 4th, it's called justiceontrialfilmfestival.net. So please go check it out. Lots of great movies. Step Inside and Honor Yard, We Came to Heal. There's a panel. Racially Charged is another one, Fighting for Family. So lots of great films that make a difference. Yes? So go check that out. When we come back, I have lovely montage of a couple of events that I got to cover as a beat reporter. One was the Chaplin Keaton Lloyd Alley, and the other was the opening of the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. When we come back here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. And as promised, I'm here to show you some on-location clips of great things that are happening in our community, balancing out all the bad news with some good news. So enjoy.
And the kid, where an abandoned baby left in an alley, found and initially unwanted by Charlie Chaplin, becomes the very essence of his being, and nothing, not on heaven or earth, will separate them. 3 actors, the big silent 3. In each of these comedy masterpieces, different as they are, one through line is plainly evident. Love. It coerces them on, it pushes them to the brink. It's the universality that we all understand. We identify it, we identify with them, and through them we can see something of ourselves, and they knew it. They handled it in their own unique way, but they knew it. That is why each of them is so relevant today as they were in their day. They know us because they are us. In his later years, Charlie Chaplin said that his only enemy was time. With respect, I have to differ with this assertion and also include the other 2 men who will forever share this space and honor with him. The work in which they have left their shadows to dance for us continues to delight and entrance all who see them. Through their films, we see a reflection of what we hope to be. That is timeless and bridges the gap of so many decades between their time and our time today. That some of their family have joined us here, some who have traveled halfway around the world to be here, to honor these films and these men, and that all of you are here as well who have come on this special day to be here and to pay homage. I know that time is not Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, or Harold Lloyd's enemy, but their very best friend. Before today, people would walk past this alley not thinking for a moment that this pedestrian walkway was anything other than what it looks like. After today, with this celebration of the achievements of these silent superstars, when people walk by, they will see a sign, a plaque, and maybe pause for a moment and look and reflect on what was created on this spot. For they should. After all, magic was made here.
Traveled over 26 hours by plane to be here for this special event. I wouldn't travel an hour in a bus. She is an actress, an accomplished model, and she is here to honor her grandfather. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Kyra Chaplin.
Hi everyone. Yeah, it's a real pleasure to be here, and thank you so much to the Hollywood Heritage for doing this. I think it's so important to be able to save these spaces. I've I actually never met my grandfather. He passed away before I was born, and to be able to come here and see where he filmed some of his work is very special. So thank you, and thank you, Stan. Thank you, Brian.
Good afternoon, this is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm in Hollywood today for a very important occasion. It is renaming an alley after an epic, incredible, one-of-a-kind, wonderful actor. You remember him as Charlie Chaplin, and I actually have his granddaughter here. So I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell me why you're here.
Hi, I'm Kyra Chaplin, and I'm here because we have the Chaplin Lloyd's Keaton Alley, which is incredible. I mean, after all these years, to still be remembered, it's fantastic.
So do you watch his movies a lot?
I've seen all his films, and I still watch some here and there because I get invited to events and stuff, and I watch them. And then I have friends who've never seen them, so I show them. So yeah, I know them pretty well.
What are your best memories of your grandfather?
Well, he passed away before I was born, so I don't have any memories.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. But what's the legacy that he left?
I think the most important legacy that he left is his humanitarian side, and he was always fighting for the underdog, and like his speech for the great dictator, talking about humans were here, we're meant to love one another and help one another, and having that message and growing up with that mentality, I feel very lucky.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I do this at the end of every interview. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Kira. Introduce yourself and tell me why you're here on this beautiful morning and why you look so fantastic.
Hi, my name is Virginia Carmelo. I am Tongva, or the original people from these lands, from the Los Angeles Basin, and I'm here to do a land acknowledgement for this brand new museum. And a very beautiful day to be here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
I just happened to recognize Mr. Garcetti over there. You may be the mayor, but we're the caretakers of this land. Thank you. That helped me relax myself a little bit. Okay. Haku, 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 haku. Haku mi wai chini chini, haku mi wai wia. Haku mi wai na tawase, haku amuse, sebla lemko pache. Na wele leshkima nishu yahami. Oh wea michi wea, yaka wea, yaka wea, yaka wea. Creator, grandfather, great mystery, great spirit. We come to you today in this very humble and very special way to help dedicate the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. We ask creators, we burn the sacred medicine, the sage, that as people enter this museum, that they come in a good way, and whatever negativity they may have picked up during their daily walk of life, we ask that it is left outside.
Oh my God, I'm Jacqueline Stewart, and I'm the Chief Artistic and Programming Officer for the Academy Museum, and just thrilled that today is opening day.
Well, I'm so glad to see a colorful woman.
Amen, yes.
And this is so wonderful, especially now coming out of the pandemic. What's your advice for colorful women on what they want to do?
You know, we have survived many things, as my mom said, the pandemic is just another thing that women of color have faced and overcome and supported our families and communities. So we just have to keep doing what we always know that we can do. Yeah. Thank you.
It's no coincidence that the museum is here in Los Angeles. After all, this is the movie capital of the world. This is where the motion picture industry grew in scope and importance, and where it continues to thrive. This special museum was built through the efforts of an entire community, and there are so many people to acknowledge. I'll begin with a heartfelt thank you to the amazingly talented staff of the museum who have worked so brilliantly and tirelessly to get us to this day. We thank the Board of Governors of the Motion Picture School for 1 second, to Ted and Nicole, to Oprah, to Tyler Perry, to John Marenchio, to Patrick Soon-Shion for helping us name our grand lobby in honor of Sidney Poitier. Everyone who visits the museum will walk through that amazing tribute to Mr. Poitier, and to so many more of you. Please, let's have a round of applause for everyone who has helped to get us to this point.
Good morning. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm here at the opening of the amazing Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. And someone here wants to introduce himself and tell them why you're here and what that wonderful thing over there is.
Well, so I'm Ben Allen. I'm the state senator from this area, and I'm also chairman of our Joint Committee on the Arts for the state legislature. And we've presented a resolution from the state legislature to the museum to celebrate this wonderful moment. And it's a very special experience for me. I'm in Angelina. I grew up not too far from here. Our family, we used to come all the time to LACMA and the Page Museum just here in the park. And now to have this opportunity to celebrate filmmaking, and I had the chance to walk around the museum a couple nights ago. It's spectacular. It's just spectacular. So it's a really special moment for Los Angeles.
I can tell from your smile.
Yeah, I'm a local guy, and to have this place to now bring my friends from all over the world and to bring my family, and it's been a long time coming, of course, and there's been a lot of work that's gone behind it. So to finally see it happen is incredibly exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you hold that? So that's a pretty.
It's our resolution from the state. From our state legislature celebrating the opening of the museum.
Beautiful.
And it talks about the history and all the work that's gone into making this happen. And it's a special moment.
Thank you. I ask everybody on my show, what are you most grateful for?
Well, today I'm grateful for everyone coming together to make this happen. You know, it's so easy for these kinds of projects to get derailed, and we've seen so many really cool things not happen. Right. So to actually see it taking place is that's my moment. This is my moment of gratitude today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live, covering what's right about people, what's right about politicians, what's right about life. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed those little clips of me running around town, meeting interesting people, absolutely, and highlighting and focusing on colorful women and politicians that are doing great things. And when we come back, I have a special spotlight interview for you. His name is Rennie Davis. I got to interview him before he passed to the other side. He's in heaven now. Watching us listen and watch him and his true story of what it was like to be one of the 7 in the trial of the Chicago7. When we come back on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind.
back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, and more. I'm getting better at that. And of course, my free subscribe YouTube channel, where if you do free subscribe, you get an alert every morning when a new show drops. As well, you can get my red carpet playlist with very fascinating interviews with people that you probably never heard of: Halle Berry, John Travolta, and Quincy Jones. Sarcasm is another service I offer. So please free subscribe. And as promised, we are going to listen to a man who just is really one of those hashtag be the change guys. He was part of the Chicago7 trial, and he was one of the first instrumental groups that really made a difference in protesting, nonviolent protesting. Unfortunately, they were not painted out as such. If you watch the Netflix special, The Trial of Chicago7, and he actually came on to tell me which parts of that docufilm were true and which parts were not. So super interesting, and also so special because he passed just a few months after our interview and went to heaven, and is there watching us enjoy his interview and enjoy the story and support all the efforts that those who came before us are really doing to try to hashtag be the change. So this show is dedicated actually to his beautiful wife, Kirsten Liegmann, who was the one obviously who helped make the interview happen. And my heart goes out to you. I know you miss him terribly, but he is loving you and us from the other side in a way he really couldn't even hear, because it is unconditional and absolutely eternal. So without further ado, please enjoy my interview with Rennie Davis.
And I am so pleased to actually have one of the seven here as my guest. Rennie Davis was the coordinator of the largest anti-war and civil rights coalition in the 1960s, organizing the largest civil disobedience events of that turbulent time. He's an author, a speaker, a visionary. He's now dedicating his time to inspire, train, and coalesce the largest movement in human history to ignite a new humanity on Earth on a journey to profoundly change themselves to change the world. Please welcome back to my studio, Rennie Davis.
Thank you.
So good to have you, and I am delighted that you could come back, because I did watch the film formerly known as documentary, because your character, who I loved, was the one who was basically in the corner, kind of not as loud as Abby, not as loud as your partner, and basically the one writing all the names down of everybody who had died from the beginning of the trial to the end of the trial. So my first question is, did you do that? Or is that also fabricated by Hollywood?
Yeah, that was fabricated by Hollywood. You know, it was we did know the names of everybody who had died, and we were very much focused on the Vietnamese too, which was really the great tragedy of the war. I've been to Vietnam twice. Once was just before the trial, where I was invited by the Vietnamese to come to Hanoi and receive American prisoners of war that were being released to me as a representative of the American people. And it was really a moving event. John McCain actually was chosen to be among those people being released. And, and I really have to say, I felt a lot of respect for him when he chose, no, I'm staying until they all come out.
Wow.
And so anyway.
So let's go back a little bit.
I'm honored to be on your 444th program. I mean, this is quite an event.
It is. It really is. Yeah. Of course. So let's go back a little further than that. How did you know when you were young that your role was to be a peace activist, or I don't know if peace activist is an oxymoron or not, actually.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to find out.
We kind of went for anti-war.
Anti-war activist. So what was the event that sort of steered you into that direction? Did you grow up?
I didn't come out, kind of bred to be an activist or political in any way. I mean, I grew up in the 4-H club. I lived in a rural part of Virginia. My claim to fame was I won the county chicken judging contest, and that just put me on the front page of the newspaper. And that was the first time I was on the paper. I actually was holding a chicken in my hand, and the chicken pooped on my pants, which I didn't know. And so all my high school friends got to see me with my poop pants and on the page. But I went on to win the Virginia championship and then the East Coast championship. And so this was, the first time I ever went to Chicago was to attend the international chicken judging contest. So my idea of a student movement was the 4-H club,
Right.
Quite honestly, what triggered me when so many really a whole generation, I would say, was 4 students. They were all freshmen, Black. They were from AT&T College. They went to all white Woolworth's lunch counter, and with great courage decided to just sit there until they were served a lunch. Mm-hmm. And they immediately attracted attention in the local community, harassment. Cigarettes ground out in the back of their neck. They just, their courage to not resist, fight back, weep,
Right.
Yeah, we saw this on television, and it was across the country. And I would say we were probably 300,000 strong in the first 3 months from February 1st when they sat down. And it just spread through the whole country until basically, not everyone, but basically a generation really joined in to change the country. And civil rights was the driving force, but the Vietnam War became the overarching way that we united ourselves.
Right. And you were the student representative. Was that true?
Well, I was an organizer. I was one of the founders of a group called Students for a Democratic Society. We were kind of the movement student group in the North. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee was our equivalent, you could say, in the South. And we partnered up. We basically just tried to provide support to SNCC. They were on the front line. And we gave
who was on the front line? Who was on the front line?
It's a group called SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. This was John Lewis's organization.
So that was Tom. Was that Tom's?
Tom Hayden basically was one of the founders of SDS.
Okay.
So he was my best friend, I would say, for years.
So that part was true, because it looked like
that part
the two
was
of you.
True, yeah.
Okay, good. There is some truth.
We were too deep in the pot. Well, there's a lot of truth. It's hard to make a film about the Chicago 8, which became the Chicago7, without, communicating. This is there was a lot of courage. We were standing up to the government. We literally put the government on trial ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But in the effort to try to have drama, Sorkin was 8 years old when the trial began. And he never really understood, himself, the impact of what was happening. It was really the millions and millions of especially young people all across the country, that that's really our real jury and our real support. And, you know, it would have been easy to, I mean, you have in the film Abby Hoffman speaking to a group, but it's kind of a small group. Abby is elegant in the movie. But the fact is that all of us went out every night and spoke. You know, if I had a terrible small turnout, it would be 5,000 people.
Wow.
You know, when the governor would call out the National Guard because I was speaking, then I would be in a stadium. And this was every night. So so it was that was the enormous thunder that was creating the support for the trial. And the media picked up on it too. It wasn't just, we were 3 networks at that time. We were typically the lead story on all 3 networks every single night for 6 months. But it was a world event. We had press conferences every day that were larger than the press conferences at the White House because the whole world press came out. I mean, it's just a gigantic auditorium. It was packed every day, you know.
Yeah,
so
that
all
did
of
not.
this is kind of missed, you know, by the movie, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, the funny story is when I first invited you after watching that film, I thought you were going to not talk quite a bit. I'm like be kind of shy, like the character.
Yeah.
And then after the show, I said to Tony, I'm like, he's not the same character as in the film at all. And then your wife told me that you were actually the organizer of that whole thing. You're the one that got the permits. You're the one that that orchestrated. So kudos to you. It does not come across in the film, but kudos to you. Were you ever like? I mean, your character was not angry. It was determined, but not angry. What was your fuel? Was it anger at the people that were made to, the kids that were made to go fight in the Vietnamese War? What was your fuel that had you stand up with 5,000 people as a minimum and speak what you were speaking? Like, what were you speaking?
What I was speaking was typically my own experiences in Vietnam. And the story of Vietnam is just so breathtaking. And even a student audience that viewed themselves as being against the war really had no idea who these people were. I mean, this is a peasant country who defeated the greatest military power in the world. They militarily defeated the United States. And it wasn't the first time. They also defeated the French. And at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, they literally brought cannons up over a mountain in the middle of the night and down the mountain. And then they dug tunnels underneath this long field and came right up underneath the fort of Dien Bien Phu and militarily defeated the French Empire that had tried to occupy Vietnam for 100 years. And then in the 13th century, when the nephew of Genghis Khan came into Vietnam, also with 500,000 troops, it took 30 years, but they defeated that army too by sinking their navy in the banks of Halong Bay. And Americans had no idea of this story, you know. And not only that, but when I would go to Vietnam, I'd be out with a translator, but you know, I was obviously some European or something different. So a crowd would always gather, and generally it would grow to, you know, 1,000, 2,000 people. And then the translator would announce to 2,000 people that I was an American. Now, this was a country that was bombing their country. This was a country that possibly had already killed somebody in their family of people who were right there in front of me. I had no protection except my host, you know, and they would just spontaneously applaud and cheer. And so I would, ask, I mean, I come from Chicago. I would explain, I'm aware that our country is bombing. How is it possible that you can celebrate that I'm here? And someone would always stand up, it was like maybe an 18-year-old woman with a rifle on her back. And she would say, well, we make a distinction between the American people and the American government. And we understand that the American people, created a constitution for democracy. And, it was just, I mean,
wow.
it just brings tears to your face.
Yeah.
These are real people, and so,
right.
it was very, very inspiring to really.
So you knew, and I'll just pause for a second. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I'm talking to, and he kind of looks familiar, that's because he was here last week. You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. And my guest today is, for my 444th consecutive week on the air and on camera, is Rennie Davis. And he is one of the Chicago7 who actually was the one who played the largest role in organizing the entire anti-war demonstration that eventually caused him to be charged with some bogus charges and go to court. And it's beautiful to hear. If I can recap, one is you knew that war was not going to be won by the American government because you had watched both Genghis Khan fail, basically, and the French, and saw this like meaningless deaths of the soldiers from America, and then secondly, that the Vietnamese people were the same as we are. We're humankind. Nobody wants the war. So that became your fuel to go and do what you were doing. Is that about, did I get that?
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, it was a real thing for me. It really was. I was the person that was decided to go on the witness stand during the trial to.
Oh, actually, it wasn't Tom.
No,
I mean, it wasn't.
Basically, Abby and I together both testified. The movie shows that Abby testified, but the part that I played was important to us because I was on the stand for 3 days, and it was our only chance to really explain to the jury why we actually came to Chicago. Mm-hmm. And what I did was when I went to Vietnam, North Vietnam, just before the trial to bring back prisoners of war, I met a Vietnamese woman in a village, and she was just wanted so much to give me something. And it was a little tiny bomblet. It was a little smaller than a tennis ball. And it came from a cluster bomb unit that had 640 of these bomblets in it. And they would basically activate by the fins outside would spin, activating the bomb. And then when it would hit, it would send out pellets, over about a 10 football field area. And so this woman had lost every single person in her family. Most of her village died too. And it was a tragedy if a pellet hit your leg, it was designed to ricochet up your leg and you would die from a slow bleeding to death. So I was able to actually say all of these things and actually hold up the bomblets she gave me in front of the jury and explain to the jury just the nature of this weapon and who made it and how it came to be and we were supposedly bombing steel and concrete military targets, but this didn't affect. I explained that if it went off in this room, we would all die. But we could then have another trial on the Vietnam War because the room would be intact,
Right,
so
right.
It was a level of detail and true emotion from me because it was what I really felt, and
right.
the whole jury felt the same thing. I mean,
so it moved them.
It really
moved them.
The judge was so upset with my getting away with this that I actually was charged with 2.5 years of contempt of court just for testifying.
So that so that part was true. That judge
was true, right?
The judge was pretty bad, but what wasn't true, but we didn't see any of that testimony in the film, or the way many of the people were characterized. I mean, Abby Hoffman in the film kind of lectures Tom Hayden in the film about what is a political trial. And it was just, I mean, all of us would sit there, what are you talking about? This is Tom Hayden you're talking to, I mean, all we have to do is to read some of Tom's materials to realize he was a very sophisticated, I mean, he was the leader of what a political trial was in the world.
Right. Yeah, I remember that theme.
Yeah.
I remember that theme. Now,
and Jerry Rubin was profiled as basically being a drug addict who, was teaching people how to make Molotov cocktails. And so, his son, seeing the movie, was really hurt. I mean, that was painful. And to, Jerry's family and everybody that knows Jerry, it was just
it was
sad,
not good. It was not good. Well, we're setting the record straight.
That
was not Jerry. That was not Jerry at all. That was not Tom. That was not you. That was not Abby.
Right.
Was Bobby?
Abby, they did pretty good with Abby.
They did? Okay.
So Abby, that wasn't too bad. And, the actor really spent time listening to Abby's speech. And, I'm not sure if Abby saw it, how he would feel, but I think we all felt that was a pretty good job,
Yeah.
I actually wrote a book here that I'll just mention now.
Yes, please.
If anybody listening to this today would like to actually know what really happened in Chicago, there's a chapter on the entire event in 1968, and there's another chapter on the whole entire trial, A to Z, from myself, who was there, and just and it is factual. I mean, this is actually what happened for those who are curious.
Absolutely. You can get it on Amazon, right? And so make sure, especially history, and activism and anti-war. This is a textbook, really, for you to examine. Now, was it true the part that because I saw a picture with you with Band-Aids on your head. So the part where you were trying to protect a child who had climbed up that part was true? So you were.
They didn't go into it so much in the movie. What actually happened was at the last minute, the mayor's office decided to grant a permit, and so it allowed people who could not possibly come out and support us to come out. I mean, mothers came out with their babies in strollers for that event, thinking they were protected because we had a permit and this was a legal event. But a young person, went to the flagpole and lowered the flag to half-mast. He testified in our trial later that this was a signal of international distress. That's why he was doing it. So the police saw this and they came crashing in and beating everybody as they came. And
I saw
arrested this person. So I threw up a martial line that was pretty impressive. We had, I don't know, probably 600 people with arms locked and, facing the police, and it all went up fast. And our whole group was calmed down pretty quickly with that maneuver. And, and then I just addressed the police and said, we have a permit. We are orderly, it would be in everybody's interest if you would just withdraw. And with that, they charged. And it was a scary moment for me. I guess, I don't know if I was thinking scary, but, I could hear police coming, at me, yelling out loud together, kill Davis, kill Davis. And
wow.
I was hit on the head, and I wasn't knocked unconscious, but I was on the ground. I was moving with my arms, on the ground. And then what's really saved me, I was being beaten on the back, and that's where I was concerned, that
Sure.
I might not get out of this one,
Yeah.
But there was a little chain fence in the park, and I managed to get to that chain fence and climb under it. And it gave me 3 seconds to stand up and get into the crowd, where later I did pass out. But, I had to go to the hospital, and I got 13 stitches.
Wow.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, having him in studio. Well, pandemic virtual studio, but in studio nonetheless, and having a chance to talk to him before he passed was just amazing. And I'm so grateful. Thank you again, Kirsten, for making that happen. And if you'd like to see the rest of that interview, free subscribe to my YouTube channel and you will find it there. I just love my life and I love my job. Can you tell? And there ends another fabulous episode. I think this one is 546, coming to you on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, reminding you that it is all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace, and wanting you to have the best weekend ever. See you Monday.